Great.
There we go.
Something like that. So, hi Maria, I'm Angela.
Hi, Maria.
Nice to meet you.
you.
I'm so glad you're here today.
Me too.
Okay, great. So what we're first gonna do is we're just gonna go over this, the informed consent.
Okay.
Every session we're gonna, well, not every session, but whenever we start, we're gonna go over that. So, just wanna let you know that I'm a graduate student at the master's level in counseling, and I'm at George Mason University. And in effort for me to have my counselor, evaluate me and everything, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do these sessions,
Mhm.
3 to 4 sessions, and they're gonna be 45 to 50 minutes each over 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. And so today, of course, is the first one. And then since I'm in training, we're gonna record it, and it'll only be viewed by my teacher, the professor, and then at that point, she'll just evaluate me, so that I'll be able to get some practice in.
Mhm.
And let's see, so she'll only want to have the option to this, and then what happens at the end of the session or end of the semester, we just destroy it.
Oh, okay.
So it won't be on file. So, like I said, they're used for our training, and I'm gonna take some notes
Mhm.
so I can, stay on track. That would
Okay.
be good, and that's okay with you.
Uh-huh.
And then they'll also be destroyed at the end of the session.
Okay.
So, as with every counseling session, I believe that, let's see, in case this is very confidential.
Mhm.
But there's 3 things that won't be confidential that I'll have to break our confidentiality. If you're going to abuse yourself or abuse someone else, or if you're talking about the abuse of a minor,
Mhm.
or if you're going to harm yourself, it's just not just abuse but harm, like, if you decide to want to do something bad to
Mhm.
yourself, then I'll have to break the confidentiality.
Okay.
And let's see, I think, let's see. I'm going to also give you my number, so just in case you have any emergencies outside our session, that you can call me, and then we'll be able to, or if you're at the hospital or whatever, we can talk, so you can call me, and if you're unable to make, and if you're unable to make the session.
Mhm.
Make sure I went over everything. Sorry about this, a little choppy here.
No, you're fine.
I think that's it. Yeah, and my teacher is Dr. Talleran.
Okay.
So just to let you know. And what we'll do is let's have you sign. I went over this informed consent with you.
Okay.
Just make sure that pen writes good.
And date it.
Mm-hmm.
Today's the 9th.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, great. So we'll just go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Okay, now what we're really going to talk about like today, and we'll definitely get into some of the things that concern you, but I want to do a little background history on you.
Okay.
So you can tell me what you want to tell me, because I want to ask you your age and
Okay.
So your age?
I'm 24.
Okay.
I'll be 25 in January.
Oh, cool. What's your birthday?
January 1st.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
a New Year's baby.
No wonder you're so happy. Everybody, it's always a party?
I guess so.
Oh no.
It is fun.
Mhm.
Because especially like the 31st of
Mhm.
December, that really
Mhm.
feels like my birthday. The first itself, like everyone's tired, and I'm tired, so that's more of like a sleeping day, but.
A day of rest
Yeah,
on your
exactly.
birthday. Okay, and you're female.
Mhm.
And so what is your cultural group?
Well, I'm Caucasian, but
Mhm.
my family's really mixed. So I'm Italian, I'm Mexican, I'm about a quarter Italian, a quarter Mexican.
Uh-huh.
My mother is half Mexican, father's half Italian.
Okay.
And then they're both half like mixed English. So I'm
Wow.
kind of everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mhm. So what do you identify with?
I would definitely say more of my Italian culture.
Mhm.
A lot of my father's family lives close by, so I
Mhm.
grew up more around them.
Mhm.
So I was really used to like the Italian customs, big family dinners.
Yes.
And then my husband's half Italian,
Okay.
so he has his Italian family. So
Mhm.
in general, I definitely identify more with probably the Italian side.
So it sounds like you guys really enjoy all that family fun stuff from the Italian side.
We
And the
do.
Mexican, the Mexican side doesn't do that as much?
I just don't really know my mom's side of the family that well. They
Mhm.
live out west,
Mhm.
like Idaho, Colorado area,
Mhm.
and I just don't really know them that well. Like I would see them periodically growing up.
Mhm.
My mom sometimes, tries to like influence us with like, stories about her past and like her grandmother who was, 100% Mexican
Okay.
and immigrated into the United States.
Mhm.
So we always loved hearing those stories, but more of the Italian presence was always there in the
Yes.
home. So that's kind of why I think I identify more with that side.
Yeah,
But I
'cause you-
definitely love learning more about the other.
Right, but it just
Right.
wasn't as readily available, just more stories from your mom.
Right.
Yeah, I can understand that. So, let's see. Have you done, okay, so why don't you tell me a little bit about why you came into counseling today?
Um, well, I'm right now a graduate student at George Mason.
Okay.
And I'm full time.
Mm-hmm.
But I also work full time, which
Okay.
can be kind of stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I love my job and I love the counseling program,
Uh-huh.
but sometimes it just kind of feels like I need to keep both afloat, and
Okay.
that can be difficult at times, so
Mhm.
that might create some anxiety.
Mm-hmm. So just basically trying, as you said, you were trying to just be strong in both, keep them
Right,
afloat.
right.
Is the word you use. So.
Right.
And you're
Sometimes I
feeling,
feel like
it
I
makes
have
you
to
feel
pick and
anxious.
choose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't like having to pick or choose, like which one can sink or swim. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sometimes I mean,
So what
everyone,
happens when you choose one, and does the other one sink or does it swim too?
I think it swims too. I
Mhm.
think though, in my mind, I
Mhm.
feel like I didn't do my best because I
Mhm.
just should have been
You weren't able to give 100%.
right. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I like to give my all in
Mhm.
everything. And if I
Mhm.
feel like, one part suffers than the other, I just
Mhm.
get down on myself sometimes.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's been kind of a challenge. But I'm optimistic about that too because
In what way?
I feel like, almost like the first year is always the hardest
Mhm.
in the sense of I'm adapting and I'm learning like how
Mhm.
best to handle everything.
Mhm.
So I almost look at it right now like it's okay to sometimes not necessarily not follow through, but
Mhm.
like learn. Like you make a mistake and you learn,
Mhm.
like what to handle at the right time.
Mhm.
So I think that next year, since I'll still be in this program and I'll
Mhm.
still be working full time, I
Mhm.
think I'll have a better handle on
Mhm.
how to best manage my time.
Mhm.
Not that I do it horribly, but still,
Mhm.
yeah.
Sounds like you have a lot of hope for the future, but then where does that leave you right now? Like when you're doing the papers and you're at work and you kind of want to
Yeah.
do it both and be 100% at both. And so, which one do you think is suffering the most? And when I say suffer, I don't mean like it's falling down, but you feel like you're not giving it 100% to.
I think school,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Mhm.
I have such a passion for this program, and
Mhm.
I'm really excited to be
Mhm.
pursuing my master's,
Mhm.
especially in school counseling, and I love being in a residential environment.
Mm.
Before
Mhm.
Mason, I took some classes online
Okay.
at Liberty University
Okay.
for counseling,
Mhm.
and I didn't really like the whole overall ideology. I felt like it was extremely like conservative,
Mm.
and very like closed-minded.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
with Mason, I loved the social justice aspect of the program,
Mhm.
and meeting all different types of people, and
Mhm.
even just being in like a residential environment.
Mhm.
I'm so passionate about that. But my job is really important to me too,
Okay.
and I feel like I really want to work as hard as I can there. And
Mhm.
so, and this whole fall, I've had so many more, almost like more responsibility, I feel like, than I
On
did
the
last
job?
year at my job.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I feel like I've been choosing the job more than the school. I still get things done,
Mhm.
for my
So why do you
program.
think that's happening? Why do you feel that you're choosing a job more? You said that they give you more responsibility. Is that so you want to live up to the responsibilities, or what is it that you think
I
that?
think it's that, like
Mhm.
living up to it.
Mhm. Was it a promotion or just more responsibilities in lieu of a promotion?
Kind of both.
Mhm.
So I'm a career center specialist
Mhm.
at a high school,
Mhm.
and so I work with the students,
Okay.
helping them out with their post-secondary options.
Okay.
But I work in Loudoun County,
Mhm.
and there's a big difference between the Loudoun County Career Centers and Fairfax County Career Centers.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Fairfax County definitely pays more. They have more responsibilities. Loudoun County pays a lot less, like half, which is shocking. And they do ask less responsibilities. But my director is from Fairfax,
Ah.
and she, has that expectation of like what the position is. And I completely agree with her expectation. And I feel so involved. I feel so needed and valued where I work. But I don't get paid like literally anything, unfortunately. So I almost look at it like a awesome internship because
Okay.
I'm working in an office of school counseling and I'm a master's student. So that the money part doesn't really honestly bother me too much. It's just more of I do accept every responsibility that comes at me because most times they're more money. This year I became the SAT and ACT supervisor for the school. It's not a ton more money, but it's definitely a good chunk of change, like free spending money. But it's a lot of work to supervise because I'm in charge of like basically putting the whole school together for the SAT, like recruiting proctors, like reserving classrooms, packaging up materials, passing them out, and that was actually yesterday. So that's a lot of responsibility because I have like 250 kids that
that
it's
are
all
eligible to
right
take
there
that
taking
SAT.
it, and it's all on me to make sure everything goes smoothly.
So supervisor meaning you don't have anyone working under you for this SAT rollout. It's just you.
No, I have proctors.
Okay.
So they're in the actual classrooms that give the SAT. But I'm the one who's like managing everyone. So, and then I also decided to be, because they asked me to, a junior class sponsor for the high school. So that's not that crazy, but
Could be fun.
it is fun. I actually have really been enjoying it.
Okay.
I love working with the student council and the other juniors, getting all rallied for pep rallies and whatnot. But it's another thing added to the plate. And I'm a campus facilitator for our high school. So campus is college achievement minority program for unique students. And essentially I'm responsible for the 9th and 10th grade class. We meet during like once a month basically, but then we have like field trips and it's all about college readiness because a lot of these students are going to be first generation college students. And I love that aspect and more of I really love the kids. Like I love meeting with them, I love talking with them. They come to me like as a resource if they're having just questions or if they're just having a bad day. But the campus program is a county-wide program, so I report to someone in the county, and I just personally don't really quite agree with some of the things he's instituted, and it requires me to like go on field trips with the whole county on weekends, after school meetings, like it's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
So now that I've taken like all of these responsibilities on top of like my master's program is kind of heavy. So sorry, I know that was a lot.
No, that wasn't a lot at all. It sounds like you really have taken on a lot, and it can be overwhelming. I would be overwhelmed, but just listening to everything you said, I would be overwhelmed.
I am.
And trying to do your 100% and all that can cause some anxiety if you're making sure that you can do the best job of each one, and everything has its own every part of your school work has its own entity.
Right.
So it's not just 5 different jobs at your school, but each part of your school has other entities that spread off, which makes it a lot more. And then your school, of course, that could go any direction. It depends on what papers you have to do or.
Yeah. So that's just been a lot to manage.
So what do you do? What do you do in a downtime if you get a downtime?
Well, I don't really have a lot of downtime, unfortunately, but like last night, for example, I did the SATs all day. I got home at 4, and I was just brain dead. I ended up like I answered some work emails, and then I just decided to watch Scandal in my bed.
Yes.
That helped me just relax and literally just do nothing. So when I do that and I just do nothing, like I just sit and watch TV, I love to read. So if I read, I watch TV, do more like relaxing activities.
So when you read, you
helps.
watch TV as well?
Sometimes. I mean, it depends. Not when there's scandal on.
Yeah.
But I'll, like curl up in bed and read without the TV on, or I'll just watch TV or something just to relax.
Okay. Wow. That's.
I know.
I hear your anxiety. Just trying to manage all those things, and like I said, I would definitely be overwhelmed and bewildered by, okay, what am I going to do next, and how can I give 100% to each one? So we definitely can do some more talking about that. Maybe give you some avenues to help you just kind of manage and realize what direction is going to be the most important, and figure out your priorities.
That would be great.
And that can help you. Um, so do you have any? Have you had any previous mental health services?
Let's see. Well, when I was actually younger, probably like 7 or 8, my parents did take me to a child psychologist because they thought I was showing some patterns of maybe obsessive compulsive disorder, which they did take me and I went for a few sessions. I ended up not being diagnosed,
Yeah.
but it was more of just a recognition that when I'm stressed, I tend to have obsessive compulsive behaviors.
So tell me about what kind of behaviors would you have? What do you do?
More like obsessive thoughts. Like I won't, like if I'm upset about something, like I won't be able to let it go. When I was younger, especially in college, like that was difficult. Now I'm a little bit more aware of it. Like I recognize when I start having that anxiety and I start freaking out, and sometimes even just like getting up, getting a cup of coffee, and like sitting down helps because I'm just kind of like, okay, stop, and I get over it. But when I was younger, it was like I couldn't turn it off,
Right.
and that kind of scared my parents a little. Like they would walk in and they'd see me cleaning my room at 2 in the morning as an 8-year-old,
Right.
and they'd be like, "What are you doing?"
And you would say, "My room is dirty."
Yeah, even though I was just picking it up, and they would tell they'd be like, "You should be sleeping," and I would say things like, "I can't sleep until this room's clean," and I don't know.
What would you be stressed about?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
As a kid, I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't anything in particular that you can recall.
No,
Just
I don't know.
feeling anxious about.
But then when I noticed as I got older and like things would bother me, cleaning or like routine or like behaviors were very like therapeutic. And like in college, cleaning was still a big thing. Like I would clean the kitchen like 5 times, or
in a day.
Yeah. What else? I don't know. Like there were just weird things that I feel like I shouldn't have been letting, bother me, but I would let it bother me.
So you felt that you felt like what was bothering you shouldn't have bothered you, but yet it was, and it bothered you in a big way.
Right.
Because you spent the day cleaning.
Right.
So that was it was, and so the cleaning, when you're cleaning, are you not thinking about what's bothering you?
No.
Okay.
Because it's like I'm just focusing on whatever task is in front of me. And that really hasn't happened for a while.
Okay. So you don't feel like you're having any obsessive thoughts right now?
No.
You don't have time.
I don't have time. Exactly.
Sorry, I'm just thinking. No, I don't know where she would fit that in.
No. I think if I do have anything that's like maybe a little, like I should just take a break from thinking about, is just work and school pressures. Like not letting it get to me, and being able to, if I sit down and I'm starting to watch TV, sometimes it would creep in the back of my mind like, you should be working on this. You should be answering this email. You have this coming up. Like you can't take time.
So that don't take over you, but the thought is still there.
Right. It'll creep up, and then sometimes I'll just be like, nope.
I'm not going to give you any power.
This is my quiet time.
So we talked a little bit about your family background. You said that you told me a couple things, that you're half Mexican and half Italian and half Caucasian, or
European mix.
You have European mix. So let's see. So then, what about? Do you have any? What other kind of milestone? You talked about the milestone. You did go to to some counseling. Do you have any milestones that you can remember that you recall from your childhood, or from like maybe marriages or births of siblings, or getting recognized at Valedictorian in college. I don't know.
I am the oldest of three girls.
Okay.
Um, and I'm 5 years older than my middle sister, Melissa.
Okay.
And then
Mhm.
I'm 9 years older than my youngest sister, Katrina.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
do remember her being born when I was 9, but
Mhm.
I don't remember Melissa. But I've always played that, pretty
Mhm.
prominent role of big sister
Mhm.
and significant, not significant, but age gap wise, a bigger
Mhm.
sister.
Mhm.
I mean, my parents are married. They've been married for almost 30 years.
Oh. Mhm.
Trying to think if there's anything else.
So your family role was you were like a leader.
Mhm.
Mhm. So you were a leader in the family. Now, how does that is that still carrying over as an adult?
Mhm.
Mhm. So what do the girls do?
It does. So now, because I'm 24, my sisters are just turned 20, and the other
Mhm.
one is going to be 16 in a
Yeah.
couple weeks. They don't get along that well.
Right. That
I
makes sense.
get along decently with both of them, pretty
Mhm.
equal.
Mhm.
I'd say if I butt heads, it's with the middle sister, but
Mhm.
only because I get upset that sometimes she doesn't assume that responsibility of being a big sister
Mhm.
to our youngest sister.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty protective over
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought.
You were talking about, we were talking
Sorry.
about how that works as you being a leader of the girls.
Oh, right, okay, so
Mhm.
I need to, yeah, I feel responsibility for just, and
Mhm.
being protective.
So when in your sense of responsibility, do you, when they tell you about how things are going, do you like, hey, this is not right, or
Mhm.
how do you? Mhm.
Definitely, I talk to them
Mhm.
about it, especially when they get in conflict.
Okay. Mhm.
My youngest sister, Katrina, she'll actually call me
Mhm.
and she'll be like, Melissa is going crazy. She's just fighting with me. She's calling me horrible names. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, I'll be right there. And then I get in the car and because I live with them now, but at the time I didn't live with them.
Mhm.
But when I didn't live with them, I was only like 2 minutes away.
Okay.
So she would call me like maybe on like a weekend or like a weeknight.
Mhm.
And my mom travels and my dad works late sometimes. So it's almost like I'm like that extra parent at times.
Mhm.
So she'll call me and I'll come to her side. And then
Mhm.
I'll just talk to both of them.
And try to have them.
Like almost mediate the situation,
Mhm.
which I think is helpful.
Mhm.
Um, and what else? Even just if I take my youngest sister out of the environment, like I'll take her to lunch. Same with the other sister too, Melissa.
Mhm.
We definitely spend time together a lot too.
Sounds like you really enjoy being that role.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
I mean,
hear
even
that.
though, being, the oldest of three girls is challenging at times, like,
Mhm.
I would so much rather have this than have no siblings at all.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I
you're right.
definitely love
What's the
my family.
challenge? What challenges do you have?
Just being that leader and that example and
Mhm.
having the responsibility. And
Yeah.
like I mentioned a little bit before, Melissa, the middle sister, I feel like she doesn't get that, that when I'm not home, she is the big sister.
Yes.
And instead, she just remains in her role of
Yeah.
arguing and not getting along. And I know she's younger than me, but at the same time, when I was 20, I felt like I was more mature
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
the situation.
Mhm. So does that ever concern you? I mean, you say it's so. When we're talking about challenges, and you said that sometimes it does concern you that she does not want to step up.
Mhm.
What have you tried to solve that with her? Like
Mhm.
maybe, and what happens?
Well, my sister is a little complicated when I'd say negative things come up.
Okay.
She's one of those that run away. Like the minute you say something that she
Mhm.
doesn't want to hear, she's out the door.
Okay.
Like literally physically grabs her car keys and leaves.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Or slams the door and goes into another room. Like that kind
Just
of a
run it.
situation.
Mhm.
So when I do, address it, that's typically what happens. But like a couple weeks ago, I kind of brought up how my sister called me, my youngest sister, and was like, "Hey, she's acting insane. Like I feel unsafe. Like she's making fun of me. Can you come over?" And I did. And my sister Melissa, the middle sister, was in her room, like half asleep, like on her computer, I don't know. And I just walked in, shut the door, and I said, "You cannot act like this. Like, I understand you might have a lot of things going on right now. You know, I don't care what fights you're having with your boyfriend. I don't care what's going on. I mean, I care, but I
Right.
don't want you to have that affect your relationship with our sister. And I don't ever want to hear her say that she feels unsafe with you. And that's it. You need to act like a big sister. When I'm not here, you are the example. And right now, you're not setting a good one. In fact, our youngest sister doesn't really have any credibility towards you. She thinks that you're, you know, just kind of crazy and selfish. And I don't think you're that type of a person. Like, I do think you have a great side to you, but I think you need to accept responsibility." And when I said all that, she said, "Okay." And then that was that. So
Was it the first time you had a conversation like that?
like that? Yeah.
That was, sounds like you were very stern and yet you weren't mean.
Right.
Right.
My voice
So-
was definitely high, like louder. But yeah, that was probably the first, like, she's heard me say that before, but more in like, "Melissa, you really need to stop acting like that." And she'll
Yeah.
go, "Okay, Maria," and then she'll run out the room. So that was the first, like,
And she
listen.
sat there and she listened. She
Yeah.
couldn't run. You went to her room.
No, I was kind of holding her hostage.
I can understand.
But I think that helped.
Yeah, because she couldn't run. Now she had to face it.
Right.
And, you know, you just have to see what happens the next time. But
Right.
at least that's a foundation you set, or and that was very good that you set that for her. And how'd that make you feel when you did that? How'd you feel?
I felt respected, probably.
Okay.
I think at times, like, especially when we were younger, I would always hear from my sisters, "You're not our mom." And I'd be like, "I know I'm not, but I'm the next thing to it. I'm your
Mom's
oldest
not here."
sister, and I'm the youngest one, and I'm telling you what to do because
Yeah.
it's in your best interest." So I think the fact that she didn't throw that back at me and she didn't say, you know, "Oh, you know, shut up, Maria, you're not my mom." The fact that she literally said, "Okay," and she
Okay.
acknowledged me made me feel respected.
So you can take that on to you feel, it allows you to feel that you are fulfilling your role as a leader of
Yeah,
the girls
it
and
does.
as an older sister.
It definitely does.
So that's really good. So you haven't had any, let's see, we're talking about just your family. And so that sounds like that's the main stressor. I mean, what do you guys do? Like, you told me that you go out with you take individually out the girls, or you go out with them?
Sometimes, or both. I think now that they're getting older and they're kind of learning to get along, we do things together, like go to the mall or go get smoothies. Like, it's just that they tend to sometimes get in quarrels. But
Yeah.
I think when I'm there, they almost understand that I don't expect them to fight, and so
Right.
that tends to diffuse.
So how are your parents with all this? I mean, uh, how are your parents with all? And when I say all this, I mean with you being a leader, how do they respect you as the older sister? Do they?
That's kind of how they look at it too, and they kind of not like, they encourage that role, I think, in positive ways. And when I was younger, like, the line that was always like in my head from my mom is, "You're the oldest, you are their example, and you need to act like it." And when I was younger, that would make me like feel like, well, that's not very fair, you know? I mean, I didn't choose my birth order. But now all of a sudden I get the responsibility of being the example. But then as I got older and I kind of learned, like, you know, how valuable that role really is, you know, and I want to be in a helping profession, so that kind of influences that too. Like, this is what I love to do. I love to help people.
Yeah.
And being in that role of like mediating my sisters or just helping them out when they're stressed, I mean, that's kind of something I naturally already like to do. But my parents definitely instilled that in me from a very young age. But then they even like depend on me to sometimes take over at times. Like I mentioned, my mom sometimes travels, and you know, she'll text me and she'll say, you know, "Katrina's texted me multiple times saying that her and Melissa are in a fight. Can you please go over and see what's wrong?"
Okay, so
And then
mom
I
knows
will.
that.
She knows I will say yes. And then same with my dad, even with like house responsibilities. He'll look at me when my mom's at home and go, "Are you cooking?" I'm like, "Yep, of course, yep."
Yes.
So kind of like that.
Mhm.
I mean, at times it would bother me because I'd be like, "Can I just have a moment to like not be mom?" And like, I have a lot going on, and adding this role on top of it is a lot. Um, but at the same time, my parents are very supportive and loving towards me, so I know that it's appreciated.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, I feel like I would not,
Yes.
enjoy it as much. But they are appreciative, which is nice.
Yeah, it sounds like you like to take on a lot of roles, and maybe that filters in with you doing so many things at school.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
it does. My mom always says I don't know how to say no.
Yeah. Why do you think is that?
I don't know. I think I just don't want to let people down, and I like to help people. So if someone comes to me and says, I think you would be the right fit for this job, and you know, I would love for you to help me, I would feel horrible saying no.
Why?
Because I feel like, I mean, it takes a lot of like effort. I feel like to act, to think of someone and like ask them to help you or like do a favor. And my mentality is, unless I literally absolutely cannot do it, like I'm in a foreign country or something, then I don't really feel like I have an excuse.
So you feel that you should be able to do everything that everyone asks you, unless you're in a foreign country.
Yeah, unless basically there's like, I really
So would that
honestly
be
can't.
would that be living in a foreign country and the foreigners asking you, or being in a foreign country and being away?
Just being away.
Being away is the only reason that you can't.
No, if I lived in a foreign country and I was given responsibilities, I would take them on. I'm just saying, like, if I lived far away,
And so being away.
and people here.
So what does it feel like then to have doing so many things at one time?
Overwhelming, but at the same time, I feel like purposeful. I feel like I have a lot.
What purpose would you feel to be overwhelmed?
Well, like I feel overwhelmed, but then it's like at the same time, I feel like I have a purpose.
Right.
So, purpose being, like at the school, I feel like a lot of students depend on me, and they love to see me and get advice and help. They're going through a lot, especially the seniors, whether they're figuring out how to apply to college or what should they do beyond high school. I see the frightened and like panicked expressions, and I just want to ease those.
And if you don't, what do you think?
If I don't, then I feel horrible.
You feel horrible.
Because I know how influential counselors are, and in a high school educators and educators in general are. So, I feel like education and counseling is really, we're in that role. Like we're here to help people, and if we can't help people, then why are we doing it? So it gives me purpose then.
So that's the purpose, although you want to help everybody.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay.
I know, it's a lot.
It is a lot to take on, to be the in a word, the superhero for everybody.
Yeah.
It's feel like Maria to the rescue.
That's sometimes how I feel.
Yeah, so what does that do for you? I mean, what is it like to be like, to say I'm the hero for everybody?
Well, I can tell that, like, especially, I mean, I'll use work again as an example, that if something, if something needs to be done, and they look to me, I can tell that they know I'm gonna get it done.
Okay.
And that's nice, because then I feel like they also give me a lot of flexibility, and they give me creativity. If I have ideas, they stop talking and they listen. Yeah, I mean, I think that it almost gives me more of an influence, I feel like.
Okay. So you get, okay.
Like I kind of mentioned before, like technically in Loudon, my job is not by the books considered to be a high role type environment, but because my director views it that way, and I view it that way, we're both in very, like, in conjunction of what we think my position is and should be.
And so she likes you to
Yeah,
to meet all those responsibilities
she
as
does,
if you're
but
working in a place.
she's also so flexible too. Like, we definitely see eye to eye on pretty much everything, um, which is great. Like, I feel very fortunate to have a good boss,
Mm-hmm.
because I know how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
No, it sounds like it makes it a lot easier to do the job, to
Mhm.
do all the jobs. Because
right.
you don't have someone hounding you or,
No,
yeah, so it
no,
sounds like you have open avenue to
I
do those
do.
jobs, yeah,
And if I know if I were to go to her and say, listen,
yeah.
I have a lot on my plate and I don't think I can do this project. I'm gonna
Mhm.
need help. She would definitely say, okay, you're right. Like, that's fine. So I know that I have that
Like
outlet.
yeah, back door almost.
I do.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So we talked a little bit about your current living situation. You said you live at home? Okay,
So I'm married.
okay.
I know I didn't disclose that before.
Well, we were gonna get to that.
I don't know why.
Live at your parents' house though.
And we are living with my parents.
Okay.
So
So you're married for how long?
for a little over 2 years.
Okay, 2 years of marriage. And no children, obviously.
No.
Not
Not yet. One
Well,
day.
yeah, no, one day
Not
for sure,
now.
for sure. So it's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 adults in the house.
Yep.
Well, the 16-year-old is
Yeah.
technically, she's around a whole bunch of adults, so.
Right. She counts.
Okay, okay, and so you have mom and dad, they still travel?
Um, yeah, periodically. Luckily they're not gone that long. I mean, my dad
Okay.
just has long hours.
Oh, long hours,
Yeah,
okay.
but so he's home, but he just works a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom does travel. She works for the government.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. This one went dead, sorry.
no, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she travels at times. Nothing too long.
Nothing too long.
Maybe like a week, 4 days to a week,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
like once a month.
And your mom is the one who travels
Mhm.
once a month. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you have your 20-year-old sister does what?
She is a student at Nova,
Okay.
and she works part time at Anthropology.
Okay, which is like a clothing place?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go
I'm like, I heard that. And then 16-year-old is in high school.
Mhm.
Good.
She's a sophomore.
Does she work?
No.
Good.
No.
I mean, no.
She but she does ice skating. And
Oh,
she
okay,
works-
so she has an activity.
Yes, so she's really involved with ice skating. She actually just
Okay.
got back from Massachusetts. She was
Oh,
in a
wonderful.
competition. Yeah.
Mhm. And how'd she do?
She got fourth, but out of four, but that's okay.
That's
I mean,
okay.
she was competing against like national people,
Yeah.
so we're all really proud of her.
Yeah, then
and we
she
know
was able
enjoyed
to
it.
even go
Yeah.
there, yeah. And let's see, then you are a everything college
Everything.
student, college student, worker, and wife, and sub mother,
yeah.
sister. Oh my goodness.
Everything
Okay.
you could think of.
And then your husband.
So he works in DC for Fannie Mae.
Okay.
He's a risk analyst. I
Okay.
don't really know exactly the logistics. I mean, I know he works with single family and multifamily homes, and processes loans and mortgages, something along those lines.
Okay.
But
And how old is he?
enjoys it. How old is he? He's 25.
25.
But he'll be turning 26 too, pretty soon.
Not in January.
He will be in January.
Oh my goodness. What day?
January 9th.
Okay.
So we're only like a week and a half difference, but we're a year apart.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
He's a year older.
A year
but
older.
our birthdays are technically close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes it easy.
Yeah.
You don't
It
forget.
does.
You
Just
don't
knock it
forget.
out.
You don't forget. So we talked about your education and we talked about your occupation, but we're going to talk a little bit more about it. So what is your favorite, give me like a favorite and least favorite of your job and of school.
So a favorite of both and then a least favorite of both? Okay. Favorite of my job is the overall school community.
Okay.
The students, the faculty, the
Mhm.
administration. I just feel like it's a very supportive and fun environment. I feel like against the other high schools, I see how their schools are run, and I love mine even more. just because I think we're really honestly a big family. They
Mhm.
also tended to hire a lot younger,
Okay, so then,
which is kind of nice. Even like the principal's only like, I think he just turned 40,
so everybody can do
and
it.
everyone else is like in their 30s, even like early 20s, like just out of school. So kind of having like that community sense is great. Dislike at the school is, or work in general, is probably the amount of money that I'm paid for the amount of work that I do. Even though it doesn't bother me as much as it might maybe other people, it's still a drawback for sure.
Okay.
And then school, so Mason. My favorite is just being in school, really, like meeting other people and
Yeah.
having my classes and learning from others' experiences. And I definitely can see how grad school is so different than undergrad, where it's almost more professional and more practical to what we want to do, rather than all the gen eds and like everything else that I didn't really care about. I mean, cared about, but
Right.
you know, like this is,
Didn't find
it's
pleasure
so
in doing it.
focused, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about it.
It's not, it's direct, it's a
Right.
directive to something that you want,
Right.
as opposed to just, okay, go to school, you're trying to get a degree, you gotta take all these classes and.
Right. No, I feel like it's very like driven and focused and practical, so I like that.
What do you like the
Least.
least?
Um, Sometimes I feel like the members, like it's ironic because I just said that I love being involved with the school and meeting other people, but sometimes I feel like there's people in my classes that are very biased, and you know, a lot of like things get brought up in counseling classes, like difficult issues, or just overall scenarios where everyone has to kind of share their story or share an opinion, and sometimes I just feel like people are very biased and they're not really.
So, kind of like bias, would you like to give an example or?
Um, so we were in class, this was actually like this past week, and it was, we had to watch a video of a shaman, rituals and whatnot. And in the video, there was a missionary, like a Christian missionary, and in the video, I mean, he was blatantly like disregarding the people's beliefs. They were Hmong, and that's how you say it. I can't forget. I mean, I don't remember. But he was like, you know, just not really respecting their cultural values and beliefs. It was being very like, oh, I'm saving you right now. And when the class, like when the video ended, we were all in discussion, and I felt like everyone just attacked the Christian missionary.
Oh, and didn't try to understand where he was coming from.
And I agree, like I agree, his approach was not correct. But at the same time, I thought that the whole point of why we were watching the video was to talk about how we would counsel a person who believes in that shaman like ritual and cultural value. So I didn't really understand why all of a sudden it was so focused on the negative Christian. And I'm Christian. And I know a couple other people in my class are too. And when this whole discussion was going around, you know, a couple of my group mates or my classmates, they just would say things like, one was, you know, the guy, the missionary in the video, he completely, you know, he said that Buddha didn't exist. Well, we don't even know if Jesus Christ existed. And someone else all of a sudden brought up, you know, one time I was at home and I'm Hindu, and I had a Christian missionary come to my door and try to give me a Bible, and I said no, and they said, well, you're going to hell. How is that even relevant
to
what we're talking about?
Right.
Like your
how
story,
to cancel this guy.
Right. Like your story is not even relevant, and why are you sharing it? So, and I just kind of wish like maybe the professor, like, I don't know, had more like diffused it. Like, okay, let's focus on what we're actually supposed to be talking about. But instead it was like this Christian hate party. So it felt very biased, which is uncomfortable.
And you would have felt more comfortable if the professor would have curtailed the conversation.
Yeah.
What about you? Could you have curtail the conversation?
I'm definitely more introverted in that class.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting because I'm definitely more extroverted than others.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, that class just gets really deep, really
Mhm.
fast. It's
Mhm.
also late, which I know should not be an excuse, but it's at 7:20 and we have these conversations at like 9:30 at night
Yeah.
after I work a long day. So to be honest, I don't have the energy.
Yeah.
In
Just-
that moment, like when all this was happening, I did feel very uncomfortable. But again, I feel like I'm the minority here because
Mhm.
everyone else is just shouting out like their negative
Negative.
Christian experiences. But then one of my classmates who I talked to, he said something, and he's very extroverted, and he said, um, you know, like it's sad that this guy, just kind of perpetuates that Christian bias, and I'm not proud of this guy, but at the same time, this isn't all Christians.
Right. And
So when he said that, I definitely felt like he kind of handled it, and then I told him later, like, thank you for
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you being brave and saying that in front of everyone else who was kind of bashing it.
Mhm.
So,
And so, how do you think the class ended in regards to that? How did you leave with the ending of the class? Feeling
annoyed.
Mhm.
Like, I'm here. I'm here to get an education in counseling.
Mhm.
I wanted to learn how to counsel that person who
Right.
believes in that spiritual belief.
Mhm.
But I walked away with people complaining about Christians.
About their personal opinion.
Right, their personal
Mhm.
experiences.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's not what I'm here for. So it's almost
Mhm.
annoying. Like, I want to get my education here, and I feel like sometimes these people, because of their biased beliefs, are preventing me from that,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I know that sounds really harsh, but
Well, it's
I
just
don't
how
know.
you feel.
yeah,
And it's what
that's my
it's what
negative,
drives you.
for sure.
And that's something that, we can talk about as well, because
Mhm.
that sounds like it can be somewhat frustrating, and when you're there for a purpose and you thought the whole class is there for a purpose, and they are, but they
They
got
are.
sidetracked on their personal,
Right.
and we are here to counsel. Something else you said about counseling, I have to think about it now. We'll talk about that as well. So, no, that was a very good story in regards to how you feel. It really explained, it gave me an insight about how you feel about bias. So that was very good insight. So where did you go to undergrad?
JMU.
Okay, you went to JMU, and you got an undergrad in psych, or
Psychology.
Yeah, so you enjoyed that.
I loved JMU. I still do.
Oh, that's good. So, we talked about you do have a romantic relationship. What about friends? Romantic. You're married.
I'm married, yeah.
Well, it's hopefully it's romantic.
It is.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Friends. So I'm still pretty close with my high school friends.
Okay.
Because we all pretty much went to Virginia colleges, and then when we graduated, we all moved back home.
Okay.
So we're all kind of there, and I'm close with them. None of them are married, and some don't have, I don't want to say jobs, but they don't have like their, I guess, dream job, not dream, I don't know how to say it. You know what I mean? Like their
Well,
work,
maybe the job, their career.
Right,
They're
right.
not practicing their career right now.
their career, right? They're doing something else. So they're not necessarily too happy about that, which I completely understand. And I don't know, like sometimes it's more like, because I'm the only married one, and I feel like I have a little bit, not more responsibility, but like I didn't say it before, but we actually owned a condo for 2 years, and then we sold it, and now we live with my parents to just save money while I'm in grad school. But when I was living in the condo, like, we had a mortgage, we had bills, like we had tons of responsibility, and I felt like they didn't really relate. So since then I've kept those friendships, but I've also made friends with other married couples that work at the school, like younger teachers who are engaged or married, and they kind of get what I feel with those like young married pressures.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you've aligned yourself with friends or peers or friends, relationships that are similar to yours, and it helps you kind of balance things.
It does.
Because they can relate to what you're going through, and maybe you can relate to what they're going through, so you have like a little bit of balance.
Right.
Okay. And so what kind of hobbies do you do, if you have any?
I read a lot. I love reading. I always
Mhm.
have.
Mhm.
Um, like I check out books at the library, and I go to the library all the time, and
Mhm.
I love to go to bookstores, especially my
What kind of
mom.
books do you like reading?
Um, Probably like the top fiction books.
Mhm.
I definitely love like heavy plots and um, I don't know. I mean, I like mystery. I like romance. I like everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and my mom is a really vivacious reader, and
Okay.
so we both kind of have a shared love of reading. So
Mhm.
that's probably my big one.
That sounds good because reading sounds like it give you an outlet as well.
It
Because you
does.
said you read and watch
Says it's
TV
an
or
escape.
just read and when you feel like, okay, these thoughts are too much. I'm
Right.
gonna read, so it's
Right.
working for you. So what? So your future aspirations is to be a school counselor
Yes.
and just kind of work with the school.
Mhm.
And would you work in Loudoun County or Fairfax County? You just would work where you could get a job.
Um, I definitely like my director and even my principal. I think
Mhm.
they see me as a future counselor if possible.
Okay.
I mean, again, like it
Mhm.
depends on
Mhm.
their it depends upon like whether or not they're approved
Uh huh.
for
To
another
have a
counselor
okay.
or
Mhm.
whatnot, because Loudoun's pretty strict with like opening up counselor positions.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
um, Not all the time, but just I don't know,
Mhm.
it's based on school numbers and whatnot.
Mhm.
um, but I know that they definitely see me as that. I mean, my director has told me multiple times um, that she would hire me
Mhm.
if I got my master's.
Okay.
So that's why she's very like flexible and very supportive,
Mhm.
because she actually followed in the same path.
Okay.
Like she was a career center specialist. She went to Mason, got her degree, and then became a school counselor at the school she worked
That she
at.
worked at.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she almost sees me as that.
Right.
Yeah, she was young.
She was like, I can
So
do. You can do this.
right.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of things going on.
For
The one thing I
sure.
didn't talk to you about was, have you ever had any suicide? Thought about killing yourself, or any thoughts like ideation about killing yourself, or have you attempted to kill yourself?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just
I've been
get that out
sad
there.
and upset and
Mhm.
anxious about things before, which I think everyone experiences at some point.
Mhm.
Um, but no, I love too many people in my life, and I mean, I love myself despite everything else that goes on. I
Mhm.
mean, there are definitely qualities about me that I really enjoy.
Mhm.
And no, I'm just,
Okay.
yeah,
And no substance abuse
no,
or sexual abuse or physical abuse.
no,
Okay.
no.
All right. Wonderful. Well, I think we have a lot of information to work with in our future sessions, and we'll set that up with what times are good for you.
Um,
I mean, I know we talked about that a little bit prior.
right. Um, Sunday afternoons, or,
Okay.
I mean, but then I know that sometimes, the weekends can get kind of crazy.
Mhm.
So I do have classes on Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights.
Okay.
Those
So
are probably the only
mhm.
nights out of the week that I'm not available after work.
Same here.
Yeah. Oh, you have Tuesday and Wednesday as well? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So the other days though, I'm pretty
Okay.
available.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so then we can, well, we'll set up a time,
Okay.
and we'll do the same. We can meet here, or we can meet at my church, which is down the street. I have there's like another place if it gets too crowded in here or
Okay.
rowdy. And well, it was very nice to meet you and
Nice
to hear
to meet
about
you
your
as well.
stories. And we'll talk about some things that cause you anxiety a little bit later. Maybe hopefully give you some ways that you can help relieve some of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, it was good talking to you.
Good
And we'll
talking
talk
to
to
you
you
as
next
well.
time.